And today I want to talk about how we are going to fill our bodies and our life with the light, because there's always these opposing forces in the world. There's always the dark and the light. And it just seems like for me, I have let more of the negative energy influence me lately. So I need this probably as much as everyone else does out there. And I pulled two cards, or two, I say, call them cards, but they're pictures from my picture book. And it's very interesting because it's very positive, and I know what this picture means. And it's trying to wake me up to the positive instead of letting the negative influence me. And remember, we only allow that negative energy to influence us. Uh, it doesn't have to. We can change. And everything we go through, we always have to look at as an opportunity. So here is the first image. And this image is beautiful because what it's about, what is a home? What is a house? That's where we find our security. That's where we find our comfort, where we feel accepted, loved. This is home. And another thing is, when you dream about a house, in a dream, they say it's always your body. A house always represents your body. And all the lights are on. What do you think that means? That means that there's this warmth, there's love, there's family, there's connection. Everything is on in this house. So what does that tell you? That we are, full of this energy. We're full of the light. And this is abundance and healing. Whenever I see a fully lit house, it represents our body. We're 100% charged up. It's just powerful and beautiful. This represents prosperity and healing, and that our body is healed and full of light. So this is whole and complete. The home is security. The home is our eternal soul. And a house with all the lights on represents our soul, our body, and our connection. And astrologically, the fourth house in astrology is the house that represents our home, our family, our mother, nurturing. And I always call the fourth house the alpha and the omega, because it's where we come from and it's where we go. But most of all, the home and the fourth house in astrology represents the heart and the soul. So this is who we are. Our heart and soul is fully illuminated. And when we come from this place, guess what? We're going to have nothing but attraction of good things. So we're coming from this great place. Let me see. Let me turn off my emails. They keep coming in. Whoops, I didn't mean for that to happen. Hold on. Quit mail. Okay, now back again. I guess I was showing you this, but let me now show you the other picture, which may not make sense to you, but it certainly does. And this is, if you can see, he is an artist. He's a painter. And look at that look. I don't know what to make of that. But he's got his little palette there, and there's a painting that he's done in the background. What this represents to me is our creative abilities, and that we have everything we need to be creative, to be who we are, to our house, our home, our body is rich, pure, fulfilled. But now we have something else to fulfill. And that is our creative endeavors in life and what we're here to do, what we're here to create. And to me, his expression looks very serious, like he's focused. He's focused. You got him at an odd moment, made him look up when he was busy and entranced in his work. That's what I think I see of this man. But he's with his paint, his palette, and yeah, I mean, he's a serious artist, and that's what I believe we're here to do, is to be serious artists, creators in our life with all of our energy, light, and prosperity. And we come from a place of security. When you feel secure and you feel good, you're able to be more creative, right? This is almost like the fifth house in astrology. If you want to get into astrology, the fourth and the fifth house, feeling secure, coming from who we truly are, and being able to create in our lives, to be able to express, because self-expression makes us feel part of this world, makes us be able to leave something that we've created for others to enjoy and appreciate. So this is like our creative talents. This is something we have to focus in on, regardless what's going on in the world. The world is a confusing place right now. You know, there's like everything's polarized, everybody's divided. And you would have thought by this time it would have been over with, but it's not. People are still in this place of division. And this is not division. This is where we have to come from, knowing who we really are, our security, our light, our soul. It's so bright. It is so bright, and that will give us the ability to create and be serious about what we've come here to do in our life. Isn't this what these two pictures are telling us? What is it that we've come here to do with our life? Now's the time, it's telling me, to move forward and do it, to figure out what it is that you're here to create and manifest. And just to go on into what was very important, I think, that aligns with these two pictures, the page I opened up from the Power, and it's about the heart energy. I think that's so important for us to realize. The heart energy is where it's at. And let me just read what a quantum physicist said. He said, "The power of your heart. In some sense, man is a microcosm of the universe. Therefore, what man is a clue to the universe." And what I started reading is what I've said in all of my Vedic astrology studies about the chakras and the energies within us being our solar system, because all of us have our own solar system within our bodies. And it said the inside of your body is an exact map of our solar system and the universe. So as above, so below, we are part of this, right? Your heart is the sun and the center of your body system. Your organs are the planets, and just as the planets depend on the sun to remain in balance and harmony, so do all the organs in your body depend on your heart to remain in balance and harmony. Scientists in Institute of Heart Math in California have shown that feelings, love, gratitude, and appreciation in your heart boosts your immune system, increases vital chemical production, increases physical vitality and vigor, reduces stress, hormone levels, high blood pressure, anxiety, guilt, and burnout, and improves glucose. Get this, we've been talking a lot about glucose. Improves glucose regulation in diabetes. Feelings of love also create a higher degree of harmony in the rhythm of your heart. Heart math has shown that the magnetic field of the heart is 5,000 times more powerful than the magnetic field of the brain and reaches out several feet from the body. So really what this is trying to tell us is what the pictures are trying to tell us. This is the heart. This is the soul. This is healing. We have to recognize we have it all within us, and the power of the heart, which is love. And within this chapter, it goes on to say other scientists are revolutionizing our understanding of the effect of love on our health through experiments with water. What does water have to do with health? Your body's made up of 70% water. The inside of your head is 80% water. And as you know, there was the Japanese scientist who did the experiments where he had water and did the experiments where someone would present love into the water, loving feelings, healing feelings, and they got these beautiful designs from the water. And then when someone emitted anger and hate into the water, they got these just destructive, terrible, ugly designs. So you see, love is beauty, and love comes from our hearts. And love is everything that is going to heal our body, our minds, our hearts, bring us back into balance, our entire solar system, which is within our body. And it originates with the heart energy. The heart energy is what heals everything in life. So if you're not feeling well, if you're feeling depressed or sad or upset about anything, you're not coming from the energy of the heart. And that's where you got to say, I don't want to come from the energy of the way I feel. I feel negative and bad right now. Change it. That's your choice. That's what we all have to do when we come from, and all of us will, because there's so much of the yin and yang, which is the positive, the negative around us. We just have to say, okay, I choose again to be positive. What can I learn through these experiences? How can I make things better? How can I be creative and create the life I want from what I know, the power I have, the light within me, which is the heart, which is the sun, which is everything contained within us. So we have to bring it back to the gratitude and the appreciation of the love that we possess within our heart. And that creates. And, you know, I can always relate this back astrologically because Leo, which is ruled by the sun, is the sign that is the most creative. It deals with creativity. It is the fifth sign, and the fifth house is the heart and creativity. So remember, when you come from a place of being truly creative, you're coming from the heart as well. It's bringing you joy, it's bringing you happiness, and it's healing your life. And when you come from this place, you're going to attract other people just like you with this love. And that's what's so important for us to know. We here in this group have definitely attracted each other. We've attracted through the power of, we all resonate with the same energy, which comes from the place of wanting to grow, create, and come from a place of love. And love heals. Bottom line, this is what we are here to learn today. So after reading The Power and what I feel like we're here to learn today, and you know, these messages that come from my photos or my pictures from my book are always here to ground us for the next week. So it's not only today, I'm sure you're resonating with all of this today, but it is also that you're going to resonate with this energy, bring it back, think about what I'm saying over and over again this week till it really starts to manifest something different that you want in your life. This is so important for everyone to recognize and realize what this energy is about. And it's about telling us to be creative, using that heart energy to heal, using that heart energy to put out and attract others that come from the same vibrational frequency that you do, with change and focus on the energy of gratitude and love. So with that, tell me what else any of you, I love the sharing part in this class. What did anyone else get out of this picture? Do you have any words of love and to help us see more?
Joni,
Yes.
you brought up Heart Math. They sell a wonderful little device. I think it's called the Heart Math Plus. You attach it to your earlobe and you go into a coherent state. And it's sort of, if you work with it, it teaches you how to go into a coherent state. So you hold it with one hand, you attach the other end, and then you go into meditation state. And as all your biorhythms slow down and become coherent, it starts beeping slower. And then if you let the sound on, you can turn the sound off, and then the light will switch. First it's red. Then as you go into more coherence, it's green. And then it finally gets blue when you're very coherent. And my husband and I do that together sometimes when, there's conflict brewing or something. If we both sit there, I actually bought 2 of these little devices, and then we both get really coherent, and suddenly we work out our issues very easily.
Wow. That is so cool. Where do we get this? It's called Heart Math.
Heart Math. I think it's called on the Heart Math website. Heart Math. I can look it up. But I really love it. I really loved it. And then it teaches, this is Heart Math. So it's very soothing, and then you really quickly learn whether or not you're dropping. Oh yeah, that's it. Really, at least I did. I really quickly learned, because I've spent a lot of time meditating. But I find for myself, if I don't do it every single day, it's easy for me to forget how good it feels. When I use the machine and just start to bring myself down, it feels amazing.
So the machine actually has some kind of vibrational frequency that helps you, or are you doing all of the work?
You're doing all the work. It's just reflecting. It's just telling you what you're doing.
I see. So, you can't get off of it till you bring it to blue, right?
Yeah. And then if you go 45 minutes with the blue, then you get a special beep.
Oh, wow. I didn't know about this, but hey, isn't that interesting that I brought up Heart Math, and this is what we needed to hear today. It's so cool. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Tracy. That's really, I'm going to order that today. So thank you for that. So anyone else want to add anything?
Yeah, definitely. I will try that. I have the hardest time. I don't want to say I have the hardest time. I'm just not great at forcing myself to meditate. That's one of my things. So I'll try that for sure.
I think everybody has that problem, Marcy. We all do. We all have that problem.
Isn't it terrible?
Yeah.
I just at night I'll fall asleep during a guided meditation, but you know what I mean. It's not the same I don't feel like I'm connecting. I just am going to sleep.
No, I think it matters. I think you've prepped yourself, and in part of that meditation, you're in the alpha state, and it's connecting to your subconscious, whether you know it or not. So don't think that it's not doing anything, because it is.
Okay,
keep doing that. If that works for you, keep doing it. Okay, it's going to have an effect. Okay. Anybody else want to add to that?
I've used it as well. I find that you really get a good readout if you keep your breathing very even. And that's a meditative state as it is, just concentrating on the breath, going in and out. And you don't have to worry too much. If you're not a great meditator, it'll really help you to get into that into that heart coherence, and your mind's thinking about your breath. It's not thinking about everything else. So you are meditating, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's teaching us that we are meditating. And sometimes we may not realize it, but we're meditating throughout the day when we're going into deep thought or just contemplation, and we change our breath work. We may not realize it, but we are. But I think if we brought that level of realizing it, then we could actually use those down periods while we're, in activity as a meditation too, somehow helping us. Yeah,
it's good because it gives you feedback.
Exactly.
I just wanted to add about the pictures. Everything you said, I was right on. I was thinking of it that too, but I liked what you said about the alpha and the omega, about the 4th house, and you were saying about that's where we end or we start and we end. Well, today I noticed that the moon was in Maga, which was about the ancestors So that's like where we start from as well. And then the other thing was about the fourth and the fifth houses, the representations here. And when you get fourth and fifth house together, that's a Raja Yoga. So we should be able to manifest, and it's an opportunity to manifest, and it makes it even easier.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And one thing I want to add that I discovered about the fourth and the fifth house, y'all have, that are in my classes have heard me speak of this so many times, but it just was such a, to me, such a great realization when I realized, you know, they say the fourth house is the heart and the fifth house is the heart. And I'm like, well, which one is it? You know, it's either one or the other. And I was always initially taught the fourth house was the heart, but then they were saying the fifth house. And when you think about Leo being ruled by the sun, and the sun, you know, where all the planets circulate around, it is like the heart energy. So, and the sun is your heart, aside from that in a chart, aside from the houses. And it dawned on me, you know, the fourth house is Cancer, relative to the fourth sign Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. And you know, in the fourth house deals with the stomach, the breast. How does it deal with the heart? Of course, the stomach and breast are right in the same area of the heart, but it does, because what it just dawned on me when I was analyzing this in my head was that the moon reflects, I mean, the moon receives the energy, but the sun puts the energy out, and the sun is like, you know, it puts the light out for the day, where the moon receives the energy and reflects it in the night. So we have the moon, night, and the sun, which is day, which deals with, you know, fourth and fifth. And it just occurred to me, okay, one is receiving and one is putting out. That must deal with the blood flow. There's different chambers in the heart, and some of the chambers only put blood out. So that's part of the heart. That's the fifth house, dealing with the sun putting the energy out. But the chambers that receive the blood flow are going to be relative to the fourth house, which deals with the moon, which receives and reflects. And of course, you can think of it almost also as the male and the female. And, you know, the woman receives, the man puts out. It's just, you know, it's all symbolic, and it's all very powerful. It's all one and the same. You can use the astrology symbols to understand it. You can use metaphors or poetry, or you can use anything, but this is about receiving and giving, and the flow that must happen. And if there is no flow happening with the giving and receiving within your life, then there's going to be some problems with your heart, probably. And I do feel like people that have broken hearts, you know, their heart starts to take the brunt of it or the effect of it, and they start having heart trouble. It's true. So, and it will be reflective in the fourth house and the fifth house in astrology, plus the sun and the moon in astrology. Those are going to be relative to giving and receiving and love and healing and compassion. And this is how, and like I said, Joan, it's like the alpha and the omega, because in Western astrology, I was taught that the fourth house, and it's true, is the end of life. But also in Vedic astrology, we look at the fourth house as our heritage, where we've come from, our home, our family, our mother, and the genealogy that exists before us. That's all held within the confines of the fourth house. So that goes back historically, all of our gene pool, who we are, where we come from. But then again, you know, when we are going to pass, when we're going to die, essentially what they say, it's just like, is returning home. You know, I'll never forget, who was it? It was this really cute guy. Back in the 80s, I went and saw him speak. And he would talk about his near-death experiences. He had 3 of them or something like that. He's still alive. And he was struck by lightning. He was talking on the phone, and a lightning went through the phones back when we had corded phones attached to the walls, right? And he died. And he's so cute in his story. I'll remember his name in just a minute, unless somebody else knows who he is. I can tell Joe knows who I'm talking about. Who is it? Dan and Brinkley. It
Danny
just
Brinkley.
Dan and Brinkley, yes. So, but he was so cute. He said he went to the other side and he saw his whole future and his life and everything and all the people. And he says, you know what I can compare this feeling to? Like when you go away to camp and when you come back home, that feeling of coming back home from camp is the feeling of going through that tunnel. Because he says you feel nothing but unconditional love. And going through that tunnel, you just feel that connection and that love and coming back home. And, you know, that's kind of what this is about, going home. What is our home? The fourth house is our home, but take it back to the essence of what it's all about. When we do die, we go to our eternal home, which is what? One with God. And that's where you're going to feel completely at home. And you know, there's no better feeling than when you've been away from your home for a long time and you finally get to get back to your home, get in your own bed, get in your pajamas. I mean, that's where we feel the most comfortable and safe and good. We don't feel like anything's coming after us or chasing us or attacking us or saying mean things to us. None of that. We're home. That's the fourth house where you feel the most secure. And everything relative to security is what the fourth house rules, which is your mother, you know, your mother. And, you know, I know a lot of us have had relationships with our mother that, you know, had lots of complication, but essentially that's what the mother's supposedly supposed to be about. A feeling of going home, feeling secure, feeling love. Unconditional love. And that's everything the fourth house is about. And I used to love to tell the story, and I've already told you guys this story, but about the Wizard of Oz. You know, I would always, when I would tell my whole scenario about the fourth house astrologically, I used to do this talk, which was one of my favorite talks. I should probably bring it back, but it used to be about the moksha houses, which are houses 4, 8, and 12. They're the houses that are relative to the water signs. And moksha actually means liberation from this world. So it's spirituality. It's when you're beyond everything and you're liberated. You're free from any of the pain or suffering that maybe this world has put upon you. So houses 4, 8, and 12 are actually the houses that deal with the end of life and death. A lot of you may not have heard that about the fourth house, but it is. They deal with the past and they're relative to the water signs, which is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And when you think about that, what would give us liberation from this world when we're liberated from our emotions? That is what traps us and makes us feel bad, disconnected, hurt, resentful. Because emotionally we've been hurt. That kills our body and everything. But when you become aware of who you really are through these moksha houses, and these moksha houses are the hardest houses to understand. Why? Because they deal with energy that is not part of this world. To be part of this world, you know, it's all the physical things and, you know, putting money and food on our table, roof over our head. These are physical manifestations of this world. But when you talk about the fourth, the eighth, and the 12th, even when you're talking about the issue of love, this is something that you can't see, but it is so real. And everything to do with psychic awareness, knowing things before they happen. This is relative to these houses that deal with moksha, would deal with what we can't see, but we know, and it's beyond this world. These are especially the 8th and the 12th house, but these are the houses that actually heal, therefore they're moksha. That's what helped me really understand the water signs, because when I first got into meditation and spirituality from, you know, all the yogis, they said you needed to detach from this world. That's how you evolved and grew. I was like, how can you detach from this world? I mean, I have children. I love my children. I'm not going to detach from my children. What is that all about? So finally, with just this, the light bulb went off about the moksha houses, that it's love that heals. And it's love that makes you detach from all of the evils in the world and connects to the only thing that is love, which is God. And these are the moksha houses. It's emotion, it's feeling. And that's probably why, in the power, in the law of attraction, in order to manifest, you have to feel it. If you're not feeling it, it's never going to be created. And this is the most important thing, coming from our sense of true emotion that deals with the healing essence, which is feeling. What is it? I always said this, in order to heal, you have to feel. And, a lot of people really want to kind of say, oh, I'm going to detach. I'm just going to cut off everything from that person. But you know what? You still have the resentment and the anger and the hate that's underneath it that you're trying to push under the carpet and pretend doesn't exist, but it is there. And what happens is we think, oh, I've gotten rid of it. I'm not thinking about it. But guess what? You attract all these people that remind you of that same energy that you thought you pushed under the carpet, you thought you got rid of, and you keep attracting the relationships and the people that show up that are trying to say, look, you haven't gotten rid of that feeling or that emotion. It's still here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be attracting all these relationships that remind us of all of these things. Yes. So I think, yes, thank you, Joan, need to feel and deal in order to heal. I like that deal. You got to deal with it, right? We can't say, oh, I got rid of it. I don't know how many people say, oh, I'm over it. I forgave them. But they keep getting similar relationships in their life. How did you forgive them if the universe is still sending those same people into your life to remind you about what you're supposed to be doing? Yeah. So this is so powerful. And it's the same adage and message all the time. We just think we've got it, but hey, the universe is going to send you messages and things so that you're going to realize what you don't really have or understand yet, and you're going to heal it. Because you can't disregard and say, oh, this is just a coincidence that I'm in another relationship. Same situation, different face. You didn't deal with it. Yeah, you got rid of that other person. You cut off. You thought you got rid of it. You pushed it under carpet and you're not dealing with it. But you have to deal with it, as Joan says, in order to heal it. We got to feel. We got to know what's going on within us. That's why we're here. And that's what's going to give us enlightenment. When we heal our issues, that's why the houses 4, 8, and 12 are the moksha houses. I mean, the 8th house is the dirtiest, nastiest house. It deals with suicide, death, murder, scandals. It deals with all these things. But above all else, it also is the house of major change and transformation, where we finally become aware of what we're doing. But all those dark, shadowy things are going to have to come up if we haven't healed them. And that's the 8th house. So, you think you're finished, you think you've healed it. Well, why are you still getting these issues? That's what we need to work on. So all of us have got to look at what's going on right now. What are we attracting? And realize it's an issue we haven't healed. So we got to wake up, figure out what it is. And nobody can really do that but you. You can talk to a therapist who you're blue in the face. They'll get you just to talk. But till you finally get it, it's going to be coming back in your face repeatedly. And now it's time to heal it, to understand it. And there's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't felt it to understand it. And that's what's going to heal it. And that's what these moksha houses do. 8 and 12. The 12th house is like the things that we want to escape from. What is it that we're trying to escape? it's, a lot of time bad feelings. Nobody likes to feel bad. But when you really come from a place where you understand the world, why it is what it is, why do people do what they do? It's not because they're, maybe you could say there's the evil and all of that, but really people react in a horrible, mean-spirited way because they came into this lifetime with something from a past lifetime that they immediately start attracting early as a kid, which is, you're going to incarnate in the family that you have to learn from. And yeah, maybe they're mean and maybe they do not appreciate you. And most of all, they yell and scream at you as a kid. Well, that was something from a past life. But as you grow, and you keep attracting the same scenarios because that's what you brought with you from a previous life, and therefore you incarnated in your family to learn those same lessons. And when somebody triggers you with the same lessons that happened to you early on as a kid, subconsciously we just react because of what happened to us many lifetimes and early on in this lifetime. Now recognize it and know that we don't need to react like this anymore. And that's where I think there's so many ignorant, mean, hateful people. They keep coming back with the same dirty karma and they don't know how to get rid of it. So they just react in the negative, mean, hateful ways that we could deem as evil. But it's really ignorance. This is a very ignorant world. People will claim uh, things against people because they're truly ignorant, and they're angry because of something that they've gone through, and they want to project their stuff onto other people. That's ignorance, right? Projection. And people do this all the time. It's a psychological term, but just consider this. Sometimes when people are telling you something really awful about you, it's them talking about themselves, because what they do is they feel your energy, that they can project it back at you, pretend that the whole issue's yours. But when you realize that it's not yours and you don't take it, and you realize that they are throwing what they really feel about themselves onto you, you got to have a little compassion. It's really pretty sad that people are so miserable and sad, and what they want to do is project their stuff onto others because, hey, they think they're not responsible anymore. If they're the one with the issue, I'm not the one with the issue, then I'm perfect, I can live my life. But why are they so miserable? Because it's really them. But we don't need to take that on when people do that to us. We just have compassion and say, I know this has been going on for a long time and they're never going to be happy with this attitude, but I refuse to receive that negative energy. And you don't even have to fight back. You just have to know it and move on. And you won't attract that anymore, because you're attracting that because of some type of insecurity that you hold about yourself, and they're reflecting it in some way. The minute you let go of that insecurity and you don't have it anymore, it's not going to come at you anymore. That's the whole key here. And that's what we have to practice till we get it right. Okay? Did everyone understand this? Any questions about what I just said, or anything you want to add that I didn't say?
I think you were channeling. You were on fire.
Thank you.
I mean it.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's so surreal. A friend of mine's daughter committed suicide a couple weeks ago. She jumped off a bridge into the water, and you just talking about this and the water signs and stuff is just like everything coming out of your mouth was like I was just hearing and watching the darkness that this mom is going through and how hard it is for her. as a good mom, because I know this woman did nothing to cause her daughter to be like that. But it's like, wow, she's got such a hard thing to move into, you know,
Right. Oh
to
my God.
let go of.
That's the worst case scenario. I mean, how do you
Ugh.
deal with that?
I don't
Yeah,
know, but I felt like you were completely channeling it. It was just like, you talked about, you said suicide, you talked about, I mean, the water and everything. I was just like, holy mackerel, Joni, you're going for it. So,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
didn't even know what I was going to talk about today. It just came out, so it's what
yeah,
needed
it's
to
such a
come out.
dark, well, you said that just such the darkness of all these things, all this energy. And, you know, what would be the conclusion that a mom who did nothing wrong, who would have been over backwards to raise her daughter and give her so much opportunity in life, but yet this girl was haunted by things, and that she chose to jump off a bridge in the middle of the night, you know, and there was nothing that they could do to stop her from harming herself, you know. And it's like, you know, as a friend, you just kind of just go, I don't even know what to say other than I'm
Right,
here. And that's an extreme version of what these houses represent. You know, and that's this world, you know, we have that extreme, was it past life? More than likely, maybe she was haunted from bringing that darkness forward into this lifetime. And then is Sandy going to have to let go and not allow that to be something that she continues to revisit in other lifetimes because of this?
right.
You know, she's such a good person. She's so spiritually connected in so many ways, but this is going to push her to that edge. And then all moms, like the mothers that I've seen that have lost kids locally and stuff, they're trying to grab on to something because that loss is so harsh. You know, I don't want to know what it's like. I really don't. But I get it. We don't want to forget the ones that we love the most that we create. And then even talking about the creative house, the heart energy, you know, that's what we create. So I just felt like, I don't know, we're so connected. I feel like this class is for me. I feel like everybody else is just along for the ride.
Yeah, no, this, I agree. I agree. I really, every time I have this class, I just feel so much better, you know, I really do. And I have to tell you guys, this is probably the time for me to tell you guys that I've been really upset because the attendance for this class has been dwindling. And another thing, this is me, I got to figure out what it is with me, but so many people have, I'm not kidding you, about 10 people have made disputes against me for this class because they said that, because they keep getting charged. And the issue is they do not cancel themselves. And so what do? They create a dispute with Stripe with me, and I have about 10 disputes over this class. And I'm like, what is wrong? This is the class of the light. And I'm attracting something, I guess my insecurity about what I'm doing in this class or something like that, because it keeps coming back at me. And you know, it's been a labor of love because I'm losing money on it. It takes away from my time doing readings, but I love it and I keep doing it. And yeah, so Shree's been saying you need to reconsider doing this class. And I'm like, how can I stop with this group of beautiful women here, but I don't know what's going on. So I just thought I might throw that in now just because.
I hope you don't stop, because I've told you, you're like my reset for Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And I hope we can give as much back to you because, you know, I mean, people get busy and, you know, and I get it, Joni, you know, you want to have it be worth your time, but it's just like,
No, I mean,
it helps keep me centered. It helps. I look forward to this balance. And, you know, just like this weight loss thing that you brought up, and I know that was super personal for you to share that last week, but that is going to transform my future. And if you hadn't have said that, you were like the bridge to that gap that I was needing. And then even this, you know, this has been something that happened a few weeks ago, and I haven't brought it up during the class because I didn't want to be all dark and gloomy, but talking about it, we are so connected
Yeah.
energy wise.
Well, I
And-
say this is a therapy class. Because
Yeah,
we can talk and share,
right. Well, and you need it just as bad as we do,
Okay. Yes.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. But I'm just kind of like, I don't know what Stripe is getting mad at me. I don't know what to do. If people don't, can't participate, I wish they would just cancel the subscription instead of making a dispute against me and my business. So
That's maybe you need to stop using that provider for payment.
yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I'll figure it out by the end of this month what should be done. But maybe I can ask you guys, maybe it just needs to be reassembled in a different way. And I don't know what it is yet, but I'll meditate on it. Yeah.
Joni, I'm sorry, Kelly. Go ahead, Kelly.
Kelly, you're muted.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Few bits that I was just picking up. Okay. Regarding the business part, Joni, maybe it's something you just have to every few months say, be aware, or every here, you know what I mean? Our classes being sent out on email, maybe that would help something with that, with people reminding people. But I will say this, okay? You and I are in the same world, right? We do readings, with this kind of stuff. We work with the public. And you know what? Very seldom do I ever have to give, I could say, count on my hand maybe 3 times in my whole lifetime and 19 years of reading that I've ever had to give money back for somebody. But what I find is when those that come like the jokers, right? They're the needy greedies. You know what? I need, I take. And if something doesn't go right or whatever, even though a reading was perfect and the class was perfect, you know what? They'll do anything and say anything to get their cash back. And unfortunately it's the way of people.
Mhm.
So I don't think it's really kind of energetically you're doing anything that you need to change. I think it's just the public. And when you do that, and if you just say, okay, don't reminder, this is what is being charged, you do all that kind of stuff. But some ways sometimes you just can't get through it because there's just those people who just kind of latch on, and then they get, like I said, they need, I take. And that's just kind of our nature of the business. And sadly, the only other thing I can think of is that you just go forward and just send out the emails, reminders, that kind of stuff, but stick to your guns, you know what I mean? And just continue what you're doing, because there's going to be more people that will come in and attract this program, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that would be my opinion.
Okay.
The other thing I was going to say to your friend that had the daughter that passed away, I just want to say something. When I read for clients and I deal with readings when people had passed away, the best statement you can say to a family member of someone who has passed, and this is what I've gotten energetically, is they had to go to God's love to heal. And when you say that to somebody and understand that even if you had the most therapy, if you had the most, timing of someone preventing somebody from committing suicide, sometimes we just can't do it here. And especially when we have a lot of opiate suicides that are just rampant and things are really going off the rails these days. But just remember that, you know what, they couldn't heal here in this lifetime. They have to go into God's love to get that presence of healing. And, share that with your friend or anybody who goes through suicide, because then that gives comfort to understand that that's how they had to heal.
Yeah.
Nothing that they did wrong, could have, should have, would have, but that's an important piece too. The other thing I just wanted to share is that when we can't meditate, one of the most important things is, I always say to my clients, do this in the shower to start your day. Visualize the water, spiritual light coming above your head, right? And it works through your chakras and it pours down your body and you wash your problems down the drain and you say those nice things to yourself, what you're going to attract, and you go into that happy energy, right? That's all you got to do. No one really truly has to sit and say, it's to help. We can do that. But you know what? Just 2 minutes, just doing that. And the only reason I say the shower is because when we have 2 minutes to ourselves, but if you can visualize all of that water is spiritually just pouring through you, you got it. And shift a bit and see if that channels you, because it's hard in our day because we're always so on to grab that.
Mhm.
And then the other thing is, I was going to say, we're chatting all this stuff and about people and stuff. You know what? It's okay to tell people that energetically they're being rude.
Mhm.
So when you say that to somebody, you know, or the other thing I say to people when they're off their rails and being rude, you know, find your peace. When you say that to somebody who's angry and they're yelling and they're angry and they're all hyperkinetic, they stop because you just told them to be peaceful. That worked great when I had teenagers, all right, in the house. But you know what? When you say energetically you're being rude, and that's that. I did that actually too. I was at a program with Dr. Marissa, and we talked afterwards, and she kept projecting all this stuff on later on what she was talking about her son and daughter and different things like this, and what, you know, she's not dating the best person and da da da, and I dealt with this, and I stopped her and I said, energetically, you're being rude. You're projecting what you went through onto your child. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my God, you're right. Like light bulb moment.
Yeah.
But when you start to use your words like that, and then energetically people will pause and listen, and truly, you know what? I don't know more, you know, it's probably a polite way to say F you. You know what I mean? But energetically you're being rude. You know, truly, it makes people pause.
You know, Kelly, I'm so glad you said that, because last night I was so upset because one of the students that signed up for the university told me I was a horrible teacher. There was nothing to learn from my class, and she wanted her money back immediately. And she said, and she couldn't get my book. Well, my book has been going through hell right now. Amazon's blocked the book, and this is my problem that, you know, and thank God for Madeline, she's helping me get my book back, but they blocked the publication of my book. So I was going through all of this, plus this woman telling me what a horrible teacher I was. And I mean, writing all this terrible stuff. And you know what I did? She left her phone number. I called her, and of course she didn't answer. But I said, you know what? You really hurt my feelings and you were mean. When you said I was a horrible teacher, and I don't care about my students, and that my university is terrible and there's nothing to learn from it. I told her, I said, you really, really hurt my feelings, and I'm giving you your money back because I don't want anybody this unhappy in my university. Well, she came back and said what a great teacher I was, and she was in my classes in Sedona and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I felt so good that I really came from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you hurt my feelings and you were mean.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you said, and you know, she backed down. Of course, I refunded her money, but I mean, that was so hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but you know, there's something about me. I gotta look at me, why I attracted that energy towards me. You know, I gotta really contemplate on that so that it doesn't happen anymore. But there's an insecurity in me, I guess, that I attracted that. Yeah.
But I also think too, sometimes in the line of work that we do, because we're always giving. We very rarely ever receive because we're always just giving out, right, with our work. It's really important to, sometimes those examples, as I always say, come back to us because we got to get a thicker skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe that's just kind of the lesson there, is to you know what, sadly, but you know, but I think also people are just,
But it really felt like, you
bold.
know, I wasn't responding in a negative way. I was just telling her, you know what, that was mean and hurtful.
Yeah,
And
but you're
and it
allowed to use
was.
that.
I was
You're
I
allowed to
was
use those words to
I
people who are
was
rude.
I was honest and real about it. And it felt like, you know, I wasn't screaming at her going, oh, you're terrible for saying, you know, just said, you know what, you really hurt my feelings. And she did. And that's
Mhm.
that.
Good. Good.
Joni,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I don't know, a few months back, we were talking about, and by the way, that would hurt my feelings too. So
Yeah.
that's not fair. I mean, that's just when somebody's having a bad day and they take it out on you, give me a freaking break. But anyways, I had said, you were talking about, well, we couldn't get a speaker this month or this or that or da, da, da. And I was like, oh my God, I love it better when it's just us. And I do, obviously, but you know, it was about a week after that. It was the week that I missed Bill Bennett, the speaker, because it was a 5 o'clock speaker. Remember that whole thing kind of got mixed up. I had a doctor's appointment. I even set my alarm to remember to watch it. I missed it. And I went back weeks later and watched him. And I could not believe. I cried through the whole thing because I had resonated so much with everything that he had gone through because I did production. I did all of that in I call it my past life, my life before kids. And it just was like, oh my God, it gave so much passion back to me that it's like, I want to get back into production again. I want to get back into TV again. I want to get back into that kind of stuff again. And I always, I way back in the Indigo Kids, and this is 20 something years ago. And I mean, I wrote a couple of different TV shows, which I was too chicken to follow up with. But it was I just wanted you to know that after listening to him, we should have a speaker every now and then. And you know what? It takes some pressure off of you, and you know what I mean? And it gives, it throws out a name, and so other people who aren't in the class are like, oh, that looks cool. So we get Joni and him, or her or whatever. But I've been meaning to tell you that I literally was like, what a dumbass that I literally I said that, and I've been meaning to tell you that the whole time, that I really got a lot out of going back and listening to him. That was amazing.
Yeah. I just wanted to say something too, that when I got on here today, my very first thought, I was in another meeting, so I was a little late, but my first thought is our year anniversary of all of us is coming up in a few weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
For a year of being together. And I have loved how this has evolved into what it is. And it's just going to keep evolving until it's time for it not to be,
Yeah.
And I think you have been everyone here has been such an inspiration with sharing what's going on with them at the moment it's going on, because it seems to be reflective of maybe other things going on in our other people's lives. And so I appreciate everyone, and I appreciate you. I sit here quiet and kind of troll, but I am like a sponge, and I have learned so much from all of you that I don't want it to go away. So if we can keep it going, I'm for it. So
okay, good. That's definitely encouraging and enlightening. Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, because I love doing this, but I'm like, every time I get one of those bills and disputes, I'm like, why is this happening so much? Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Well, each of us have a responsibility to know what we're getting into and what we're not. And it's also on them, they also have to know that, I mean, they got to pay their bill, and then they don't if they choose not to participate. That's up to them to take that action. You can't read their minds,
Exactly. So. Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that, Sherry. It really helps. Yeah.
And another thing, I love meeting people in the class.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do. I love being able to text somebody outside of class and then meeting up in class. It's taken this long for all of us to kind of start to communicate inside of the, outside of this realm, but it brings us all together. It's really nice. It is.
Yeah, it is like a therapy class.
Friendship. It's a friendship.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
therapy would cost a whole lot more,
Oh,
so.
I know, people don't think about that. They really
Yeah.
don't. You know, they think, well, you know how people think. I don't even have to go into that. Okay, anyone else want to comment about this? We'll look at the
Ignore
astrology
the
in a minute,
haters,
too.
Joni. Ignore the haters.
Yeah,
What I see from your situation is that person, I mean, I feel like you're growing spiritually and the universe says, okay, we got to up the bar a bit here. And so for somebody to come in and criticize something that's so close to your heart, teaching and teaching astrology and doing all this spiritual like teaching, and I mean, that would be a knife through the heart to me too if somebody said that. And it's like the universe gave you the opportunity and you took the baton and you ran with it, and you called her back up and you said what you had to say, which is probably terrifying. I know it'd be for me to
it
actually
was.
say what I really felt like, because I wouldn't want to hurt their feelings, even though they hurt my feelings, so that just proved to you that you could do it. And secondly, I find in order for us to change our limiting beliefs, we need proof, because we had a proof way back when that created that limiting belief. Oh, people don't like me because, when I was in grade 2, somebody said something and hurt my feelings. I didn't say anything about it. And then blah, blah, blah. And they went and had other friends. And then we create this whole story about ourselves that nobody likes us. And we can't ever stand up for ourselves, because then they'll run away and they'll be mean because we were not nice, whatever. We put proof to our belief, that is true. And then you basically, by doing that and having the person turn around, do a 180 and say, oh no, whatever, like maybe they had a problem that day or whatever, and then they come back and they say, no, you are a good teacher. It's like, kind of, that's crazy. It's like, is this really happening, or is this the universe kind of saying, I'm trying to show you something? And then now you can, maybe not with just one shot, but you can start to change that belief system. Whatever limiting belief thing is there regarding how you feel about you helping others and doing your work, maybe that was just the little catalyst that they served as. And then now you can go forward thinking a little different thought, and knowing that you can do it, and knowing you can stand up for yourself. Because, just saying that hurt my feelings, that wasn't a judgment on anybody else. That was just
Right.
fact, so you were right. And yeah, I think we could all take a nice lesson from that and step out of our comfort zone sometimes when we have to say, you hurt my feelings, and not feel bad about it.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah, thank you.
I have had the one time that I had a hard time switching my card on the account. Now, I'm not tech savvy, so maybe sometimes people, are trying to get out and they don't know how to get out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that could very well be it. And they don't mean to turn you in or something like that. That's a very possible
It is, but
scenario there.
but what I want to tell everybody, if you guys can attend and you want to get out, of course you can. Tell us. Send me an email. Shree will take you right off.
I stalked 15 times before I finally got somebody. But that being said, and that was to get back on. I mean, because I was like,
Yeah.
take me back because of the credit card thing. But I didn't know that I had to go through, because there's a bunch of different emails.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to give you a
Thanks.
hope there that it's not you, that it
Right.
some people don't know how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Good. Okay.
Except for the jerk that actually said those mean things.
Thank you. Yeah, and I realize that a lot of people, they just can't participate, and it is so much better when you're live with us rather than looking at the recording. I mean, you can do that, but this is the best. This is the real therapy. This is what works. So I like it being at noon. I know a lot of people probably want it in the evening, but to have it in the evening, that takes away from my downtime, and it's like I want to have it during the day when I'm working anyway, not take away from my downtime, because after I finish 4 readings, I'm not good for the world. I really am not. You think you can still operate and be good? I really can't, but it's not. So this is the way I like to do it. But anyway, anyone want to say anything else before I go to the astrology?
I just wanted to say that sometimes when people act out, it's not something that you did. It's you triggered something inside of them.
Right.
And that's what caused them to act out. And you handled it perfectly to stand up for yourself. That's the best way, but you did it in not a mean way. You came from the heart and said, you know, this is how it made me feel.
Right.
And so then that person recognized that their behavior wasn't right, and they switched it. But so I don't think it's a reflection of that you attract this kind of energy to you because there's something inside of you that's attracting that energy. I think sometimes we just trigger people, and when you're strong in yourself, you can deal with it, you know, a lot better. And you actually help that other person, believe it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. The good point, Michelle. I think you're right. Yeah. But it was just like, I just had to come from the heart and tell them. And I didn't, you know, and it felt healing because I wasn't doing anything to attack her. I was just telling her, you know, a reality. It really upset me, made me feel bad. Don't do that to people, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, okay, let's look at.
Joni, can I add something?
Definitely.
I just wanted to say that, you know, there are a great teacher and with a great mind on the planet, historically and today. And it doesn't mean that they are loved by everybody, even though they are great, even though they are, you know, but not everybody love them. So, you know, that's people, you know.
Yeah, we're all different. We all like different things. You're right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I mean, even great teacher doesn't mean that everybody gonna love them.
Yeah.
Even if they are also absolutely great.
Yeah, thank you. You're right. Okay. All right, let me share the screen and let's get, you know, a little look at the what's coming up. You know, last week we talked about the Super Bowl coming. All of that. Well, we will know next week about all that silly stuff, but here we go. Today is the 7th, February 7th, and we started at noon. And wow, the ascendants shifted all the way over to Taurus now at the noon time. It was, I remember, it seems like the beginning of this month, and Pisces went through Aries. It seems like it did. All of a sudden now it's in Taurus. And you know what's interesting about this chart is I want to look over at these planets in the 9th house, which is the house of spirituality and truth. And the sun is there, which is the power, which is the light. And Pluto is very close to Mercury. The reason why I'm bringing up this, Pluto's there, and Pluto deals with power. It's in the house of spirituality. And this is a transformative power. So in this class today, I think we're coming from a deep transformational power. I really do. And what's lovely is Jupiter sits in the 11th house of groups and friends and organizations. And this is, you know, when we started this group, it's reflective of the 11th house. The 11th house is groups and organizations. Jupiter is the great benefic, brings opportunities, brings wealth of information and learning. Most of all, don't forget Jupiter in Vedic astrology is called guru. It's the teacher. So we're all teachers to one another. That's what I see with this Jupiter being in the 11th house. Nobody is not, you know, better than anyone else. We're all learning from each other, and that's the beauty, I think, of this class. Now, another thing is these 3 planets sit in the 10th house, which is the highest portion of the chart. It reflects the public, the 10th house. We have Neptune pretty close to Venus. And Venus is going to cross over Neptune, in about 8 days, because Venus moves about a degree per day. So by the time it hits Neptune, it moves a little faster than a degree. It'll be around 8 days, give or take a day. And that will be mysticism and spirituality, deep deep stuff according to this. Probably by the next time we have class, Neptune and Venus will be closer to each other. And this can deal with, Venus is creative. And I think probably one thing that we do need to recognize is this picture was that we need to start coming from our creative mind more. That's what I think this is telling us, to be more creative, whether it's that we're a writer, that we're a speaker, that we're a teacher, that whatever we love to create, even, arts and crafts, it's time for us to express ourselves through our creative talents. I think that's actually what Neptune Venus would emulate or mean, because Venus is very creative, and soon we're going to have Venus and Jupiter together and they're going to both be in Pisces, which will be very, very nice, because Venus is most powerful in the sign of Pisces and Jupiter's powerful. But then again, March is going to be a heavy duty month. A lot is going on. You know what's interesting about this chart? Let me show you something very interesting. The moon sits all by itself. Look at that, totally isolated over here from all the other planets. And that's basically what we're going to be feeling. We're going to be feeling kind of isolated and kind of alone in many respects in our feelings. But it's great we have this class, because definitely I don't feel alone anymore with how I feel, truly. Yeah, but whenever the moon is isolated, especially in an individual's chart, when it's away from all the other planets, it represents somebody that feels exactly that way. They don't feel connected to other people, because the moon needs to be surrounded by other planets. It needs to feel a connection. The moon is love. The moon is emotion. And when it's by itself, where does that love and emotion go? It's kind of lonely. And that's what I'm seeing with this moon, particularly it being in Leo. We just had the full moon, on the 5th, today's the 7th. It was a really beautiful, bright full moon. Could you all see it in the sky? It was magnificent. Yeah. So that moon, and it was in Cancer. It was very sensitive, emotional feeling. And that should come from the heart energy and love. So, but looking at this, Rahu and Ketu, what just broke my heart is that earthquake in Turkey. Oh my God, I go to Turkey every year. I love the people of Turkey. That's why it really broke my heart. And I was, and I looked at the Turkey chart, which I'll probably do a YouTube about, because you could see that there was a major loss for that country with K2 crossing over the sun in the chart, the birth chart for the country Turkey. But I mean to tell you that is an enormous loss on this planet. And it's very, very upsetting to me. And I have a lot of Turkish friends. Of course, they're in Istanbul, which it didn't affect, but still, their country has to be under, huge alarm right now with what they're feeling and experiencing. And, they just said, I don't know if any of you didn't hear about it, but there's been over 5,000 deaths so far. And, it's going to probably double that for sure, because they, the buildings, they said hundreds of buildings just collapsed. Hundreds. I don't even know if it's not thousands. They just collapsed. This was a 7.8 on the Richter scale earthquake. And the reason why I even brought it up is Uranus with Rahu represents earthquakes and airline crashes. We're going to see more of this coming before those two planets separate from each other, which isn't till next November, the end of November. That's what Uranus rules, is airplanes and earthquakes and unexpected sudden events that hit completely out of the blue. So
Joni, you
yeah.
were saying this. You were just saying this.
Yeah.
You literally were just saying this a few weeks ago.
Yep. Yeah, the problem with all this is I don't know where it's going to hit. It's like, yeah, I'd have to do every country's chart, every leader's chart, and I'm just not, wanting to do that. And as a matter of fact, come to think of it, because I went to Turkey so often, Everybody there would have me look at their elections and Erdogan's chart and Turkey's chart, and looking at where Mars is. Well, Mars is 17 degrees right now. Well, it just crossed over 15, 16 degrees, right? Erdogan's moon Mars sits at 16 degrees of Scorpio, and that's when that earthquake hit. So it goes to prove that you can look at these things and know, but you got to be looking at every country in the chart, ruler's chart, plus their country's chart. I personally don't have time for that. But like I did tell you guys, I used to study Japan's chart every month because for 7 years, I had a website in Japan. Of course, I don't speak Japanese. I had an interpreter who would translate my writing. And yes, during that time, I predicted the earthquake that hit Japan in 2011 because I was writing for their country and looking at their chart every month. And it was so nice to have people thank me and say, I had this one really cute guy. He used to call me Gene Dixon. He wrote me and he said, you know, I canceled my wedding that month because you said there was going to be an earthquake, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. So that was really cool. But there's no way an astrologer is going to be able to predict where. You just know that something's about to hit. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so this is interesting, this chart. I think we all kind of come from a place of, and another thing, Leo moon is creative. That's the creative force. And that's what I want all of us to take away from this class today, that we need to really be a lot more creative. We've got to come from that place of love and love in our hearts, and that this is who we really are, with the light illuminated within us, all of, you know, the sun, love, security, protection, opportunities. We have all this within us. And I think what the message today was telling us, to use that energy to be more creative too, with our own lives, with our own talents, whatever it is that we've been wanting to do. Be creative with it. And even this confirms it. The moon in Leo, actually, that's where my moon sits, in Corva Falcuni in Leo. And, you know, I used to be a ballet dancer. I used to be an artist. I was a studio art major for a while, paint, draw, everything. And I got to admit, I'm still kind of performing, if I could say, because I love to teach and perform and project. That's part of Leo energy. So it's telling all of us to come forth with our creative talents, write, whatever it is that you do best, that you feel like how you can express and put yourself out there, whether it's writing, singing, dancing, whatever. We all have our own talents. Do it. Express yourself in some beautiful way. And this is going to definitely make a difference in our lives, especially all the way till next week. Okay, so this is the message. Anyone want to add to that?
We'll be together on Valentine's Day.
It is Valentine's Day. Okay, good. Yeah, it's so funny. I think Madeline's coming to help me with the hotel and everything that we're doing with the conference in June. And she says, it's Valentine's Day, Joni. Are you sure it's okay for me to come? I said, yes, Valentine's Day is every day for me and my husband.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm kind of laughing when I say it, but it's true. Yeah.
Joni,
Yes.
may I ask a question? So, you know, I'm not real versed in Vedic, but would somebody like me benefit from going to your conference?
Yeah, because you know astrology.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I would just love to see everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you would. I think you'd love it personally, because everyone's going to be in person. Everyone's going to be so excited to see each other, and you're going to pick up a lot of stuff from the classes. I know you
I'm
will.
going to meet people and I'm going to book it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm
Yes.
excited.
It's-
Tori.
and
see
it's at
you.
a wonderful hotel. it is, the Anatole's a wonderful, beautiful hotel. Isn't it, Tori? Tori's shaking her head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is the only Vedic conference in person. None of them are in person anymore. And well, there is one, Arsha Vidya in Saylorsville, Pennsylvania. I shouldn't say this, but their accommodations. After that, I'm never going back. Okay, it was like and it's true. I'm not exaggerating. It's like a cell. You have a room with 4 walls, nothing on the walls, and 2 beds. And me and my husband came and they said, you can't push the beds together. Well, of course we did anyway, because it's not like those beds were, welded into the floor. But yeah, I want to be at a nice hotel where it's fun and good places to eat and be entertained by everything going on at the hotel. So we're having it at a really nice hotel, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay.
And I'm sorry to be chatty Cathy today. Sometimes I don't say a word, but I am so proud of you for doing this, because this is your conference.
Yeah,
and it wasn't 3 months ago that, it was like, yeah. So now you're doing it, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited. So I'm excited to book it.
Thank you so much, Marcy. I appreciate that. Well, I know we're going to have a great time. We're all going to come together in person, and maybe we'll have a little Shooting Stars meeting while you're here. That would be fun too. Okay, everyone. So this has been, as meaningful as ever. I love all of you. It's been wonderful. Thank everyone for your comments and participation. You've helped me. I hope I've helped you. And yeah, I'll see you next week on Valentine's Day. Okay.
Okay. Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
I
I don't know.